Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, alongside my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And you know what? This Raw, I will say, was very engaging in terms of what it revealed down the road to Money in the Bank, but in terms of overall quality, I'd say it was a good Raw. I wouldn't go as far as say great, but I was entertained for all 3 hours. Ashton?
Yeah, there wasn't anything really offensive, but there definitely were a few things that just flat out got on my nerves as far as just being annoying and like, wow, WWE really again kind of stuff. But aside from that, the matches were pretty much all good, so I can't really complain too much.
Absolutely. So with that said, let us get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I'm going to take the ball straight away because I talked about this with you, Ashton, before we started recording. I have a nitpick. And I want to stress that it's a nitpick because I know that if I made it a full-blown Heat of the Night, first of all, it would show lack of foresight on my part because me and Ashton both saw this particular event coming, but it didn't stop it from annoying me. And two, if I made it the Heat of the Night, I know it would be my most contestable one ever. So I just want to downgrade it to a nitpick and just air my grievances. I hate that Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and John Cena beat the Wyatt family tonight.
Okay. And my biggest nitpick wasn't necessarily the result of the match because of who did the pinning and who ate the pin, but I'm still curious, so go ahead and elaborate.
It's kind of like what I told you. You know, what I find so genius about the Cody Rhodes Goldust storyline is that it makes sense. You know, you're talking about two brothers who had teamed together, you know, so frequently, even won the tag team titles. The one partner's feeling inadequate, so he's saying, hey, let me find a new partner for you. But he doesn't gel with those other partners. He doesn't have that pre-existing chemistry that Goldust has, you know, with Cody. So I love this storyline because it makes sense. You don't expect Goldust to turn up success. That's kind of what I was hoping would bear out here. It just seems logical that after the Shield's gone through a major betrayal, and they shouldn't be focused. They should be very emotionally distraught. They should have a lot of haziness going on in their mental state, you know, not really thinking clearly because they're so blinded by fury and just sadness and everything like that, that they shouldn't really gel well with Cena. And I think the even bigger point, even if you want to overcome that, Bray Wyatt just got done a promo on SmackDown saying that he was reborn. And even though he didn't eat the pan, and you're right, John Cena did make the pan, and we all knew it was going to happen. You know, I can't stress that enough. I saw it coming. I just don't think after Bray gave such a brilliant performance like that, plus the idea that the Wyatt family, I mean, they have family in the name, and I think they have a stronger bond, you know, on screen than most families, to be honest. They really seem like a unified, fortified unit, that they lose here to a team that shouldn't synchronize as well as they do. So
really your complaint comes down to Team A being a very well-established tag team, Team B having basically fractures within the group, two guys that are emotionally unstable, and those two guys who don't really get along too well with the third guy. But I don't know. I mean, I do understand your gripe, and I completely agree that it would have definitely made more sense for the Wyatts to win. But I don't have really a huge problem with the fact that the Shield won, because to me, with the Shield, I feel like they would have stood a chance if it was 2-on-3. Because they are so angry and just flat out livid from what Seth Rollins did to them, that they want to take it out on someone, and the Wyatt family just happens to be there for them to take it out on. So to me, I mean, we witnessed it. We saw Dean Ambrose fighting off Eric Rowan and frickin' Roman Reigns fighting off both Harper and Wyatt on the outside. And John Cena was just kind of standing on the apron like it was a legitimate tag match waiting for someone to tag him in. So to me, I think that you could have had the 2-on-3 handicap match, and the Shield still would have been able to put up a fight. John Cena being in the match just put it over the top, so really I wasn't surprised at all that team won. To me, though, the annoying part is John Cena to the rescue yet again. I mean, it would have annoyed me just as much if it would have been the Big Show, but why could Dolph Ziggler not have this spot? He finally spoke out against the Authority on Friday. He had a one-on-one match with Seth Rollins. It makes so much sense that he would want to join the Shield in this match. I mean, I felt like he was practically auditioning for a spot in the Shield on Friday, and yet they give it to Cena.
Yeah, what really annoyed me was actually on two fronts, and then I want to just add a point, and then I guess we can move on from this. One is exactly what you said. I was really hoping that it was Dolph Ziggler, or even better, like you and me and James, and just so many friends of mine were talking about a potential NXT guy or a talent that you wouldn't expect, to get that kind of rub. That would have been amazing. But even worse for me personally, what this told me, these actions, and then the main event with Cena's involvement, tells me that Cena Bray is not over. And that is something that I really don't even know how I feel about it. Because I don't know what else they can do. It's not even the fact that I'm scared necessarily for Bray. It's part of it. I just also don't know what there is left for this feud to tell or to show us or anything like that. So part of me has that morbid curiosity, but part of me is just like, let's move on. So.
Yeah, and that's definitely understandable. I don't really like that they're continuing on with this. That is, unless Bray gets something over Cena to give really a reason to keep going with this.
Yeah, like I said, my only thing would be that I'd love to see them do an I Quit match, but even if they did that, like you and me had out on the last show and I suggested, you'd have to hope for the miracle that Bray Wyatt could beat Cena in that type of match. But the last thing I want to say about the Shield winning, just so I can demonstrate that I do understand the other side of the fence, because I think you raised completely legitimate and valid points. Another reason why I do like this is that everybody's been heaping praise, whether it be Triple H, Cole has said it on commentary when they were still together, and Rollins even made the claim tonight that, he was the architect, he was the brains, he was what have you. And when you have a heel make claims like that, I think it's bad for the babyfaces if you have those claims, verified or pan out. So I think it's good that the babyfaces went over because it said, hey, we're strong on our own merits, not because of the merits that you possess as a leader. Right. So that I think was a good move to really make both Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, even in the wake of this split, to look very strong, which I think is very smart.
I agree. That's actually one point that I hadn't even thought of, so I'm definitely glad you brought that up. That's a very good point. So is that your only heat of the night?
Yeah, that's my only, and again, it's my only nitpick. So I'm curious if you have any heats of the night, nitpicks, anything you want to air out here?
We just talked about pretty much the biggest problem I had with this show.
Right.
There was some stuff that annoyed me, like the fact that Sheamus somehow gets 15-plus minute matches every frickin' week. The fact that he won his match tonight against who, in my opinion, is significantly hotter as far as crowd reaction goes. Just little things like that. The whole Xavier Woods being in a match against someone that's not Alexander Rusev, I don't get. I don't know. I feel like, why are you... Here's my thing. And I didn't want to get into this, but I guess it's going to happen.
All right.
Xavier Woods is one of many guys that are completely worthless on the main roster right now. And to me, Bo Dallas, after facing Sin Cara, who did he face last week?
Didn't he face Santino last week, right?
Right. Okay, so Santino, so he went from Sin Cara to Santino. Has he faced anyone else other than those? Oh, Kofi. Kofi was another one he's faced. Has he faced anyone else other than those guys?
Santino, Sin Cara, Kofi. He faced Xavier Woods once before tonight as well. So those are all the names I can think of, though.
Okay, so I guess my thing is, why is he moving down in the world? Why did he go from Sin Cara to, I believe, was Kofi after? Yeah, then Kofi, then Santino, and now he's dropping to Xavier Woods, who, in my opinion, the WWE has portrayed as below even Sin Cara.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a part of, I doubt it. I mean, this is purely conjecture. But if they're just protecting Bo, so to speak, by giving him this illegitimate, undefeated streak in the sense that, the numbers are there, but the quality of the opponents isn't. And then the first time he faces a really legitimate opponent, maybe Bo leaving, so to speak, won't be enough. that said, or maybe they're just thinking of something for Bo to do, which seems more likely. Like, we're just going to keep feeding him to these guys until we know how to get him into facing bigger players. But I do definitely see your point. I don't really see what stock Xavier Woods brings to the main roster right now, besides being just another body. And
Can we just take a minute to realize that literally every black superstar in the WWE has been buried in some way, shape, or form over the last month or two?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you want to go as far as Big E, he lost in less than 5 minutes to Rusev.
Yeah, I mean, that match didn't last long at all. Rusev's been steamrolling most of the black competitors. Kofi Kingston got attacked by Kane on the pay-per-view. Payback. Yeah, our Truth was thrown together with Goldust tonight. Man, our Truth especially, you know, I'm not his biggest fan by any means, but when you think about the brilliance of his heel work, I know that he's like an older competitor. He's in his 40s, so he shouldn't be headlining pay-per-views or anything, but I really do miss what he could do as a heel, because, like, he's just not clicking anymore now that he's back to the boring babyface.
Yeah, and here's another thing. With Xavier Woods, I watched a match. It was a 6-man tag match from FCW like 2 years ago. And it was Xavier Woods, Jason Jordan, and CJ Parker versus Corey Graves, Jake Carter, and Brad Maddox. And Xavier Woods absolutely freaking dominated in that match. He looked strong. He actually, if I remember correctly, he actually won the match for his team. And now here we are, and he is getting basically squashed by pretty much everybody. I mean, has Xavier Woods had a competitive match since he's been on the main roster? Because I don't think he has.
I have not seen him in a competitive match since he has transitioned from NXT to pretty much, I'll say Monday Night Raw, because he frequents there more than he does SmackDown. And the shame of it is, you know, we talk about these particular athletes getting the shaft, when I think each one in their own way brings something legitimate to the table. Like, to me, Kofi is a solid mid-card performer. I'm still curious to this day how he'd do with a heel turn. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but that curiosity will always be there. Xavier Woods, I loved him as Consequences Creed in TNA, and I thought he was doing great stuff in NXT. I think he was a case where he did get moved up too soon. Because really, like I said, he's just become another body, which nothing wrong with that, but they didn't even have the team of him and Truth in an age that was so ripe with tag teams, really be a legitimate tag team and even really go for those belts. Truth, as I said, I think his heel work is brilliant. I think him being babyface is totally backwards. And
I feel like the WWE allowed themselves to actually pressure themselves into promoting Xavier Woods to the main roster, because it got to the point that his name was getting thrown out there so freaking much that they almost had no choice but to introduce him to the main roster universe. I mean, they kept on talking about this kid and how he was helping with all this stuff, and he had this master's degree and all, or his PhD or whatever it is. And they kept on mentioning him on air and how he was at NXT, and then, I mean, it's like they had to debut him. Like, they pressured themselves into doing it.
yeah, I mean, me, and again, you know how you and I love our fantasy booking, so I never even really feel guilty about doing it, and I don't think it strays too far from logic, but I think you know how I would have debuted Woods, because we've talked about it. I would have had, going way back when Sandow still had the Money in the Bank, I would have debuted Xavier Woods as Sandow's apprentice, really emphasizing the fact that he was pursuing his PhD, shows that he has a quality education, is a man of great intellect, had Sandow, you know, win the world championship. I guess you could almost call it, to be fair, like an Alex Riley-Miz pairing, but I would make Xavier Woods along the way look very credible in his own right. And then, you know, the inevitable split is all people do, and then you have Xavier Woods feud with a former world champion, because Sandow would have dropped the belt at that point, and I feel like that would have been great for Woods, because, you know, Triple H is always emphasizing, don't bring the guys up if you don't have something for them to do. Well, really, what did Xavier Woods have to do? He had a little feud with Brodus Clay over dancers and music. I mean, really, to me, I mean, not to be offensive.
And now neither one of them are doing anything.
And now neither one of them are doing anything, and the only storyline I've heard, well, I've heard a few storylines worse than that, but the only thing that's more ridiculous in terms of feuding over was Edge and Booker T for WrestleMania 18 over a shampoo commercial that didn't even exist.
Yeah.
You know, so that was ridiculous. And yeah, I would put Xavier Woods back on NXT. Maybe, see, I always say turn him heel for everybody, but I guess you wouldn't have to turn him heel. Just get him to do something. Maybe feud with a heel Tyson Kidd.
Bring back his freaking 90s gimmick, darn it! That's what made him entertaining in the first place.
Or, yeah, like Ashley just said, bring back the 90s gimmick. Go all out with it. I just don't think it's working right now because he's just, like I've said 2 times now, he's just there. And, that's not right because he is a quality performer for sure.
That's the thing, though, dude. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. He's just there. R-Truth is just there. Kofi Kingston is just there. Big E is just there. Mark Henry isn't even there. What the heck is going on? Like, does the WWE even realize how racist they look right now?
Oh, and speaking of Mark Henry, I don't know if it's plans for SummerSlam or just this upcoming pay-per-view, but I hear that Mark Henry and Rusev are set to cross paths. So, that's another one for you.
There is one excuse that I will accept for this entire thing.
What's that?
New Nation of Domination.
And we've all been saying it, right? I want to hear the theme, man. I want to hear a modern, like, CFO Money remix Nation of Domination theme. I don't know how you do it. I don't care. I think it would be awesome, because Nation of Domination was way before my time. And, yeah, even Xavier Woods joked about it on Twitter, guys. So, like, we're not the only ones. Xavier Woods, after I think he saw Rusev take out Big E when he saved him from Duggan, he's like, I think it's time we reform this, and below it was a pick of the nation. So I think that'd be cool as hell. I doubt it'll happen, but you can dream, right?
It's the only acceptable way of apologizing for all the crap that they're doing.
I don't know, man. And it's such a shame when you group Big E in there, because you just look at NXT and the whole 5 gimmick he had going on. That guy had dollar signs all over him. I don't know.
So, not only are black guys losing on the main roster, but they're also being stripped of any and everything that made them interesting on NXT.
Yeah, pretty much.
Way to go, WWE. Way to go.
Yeah, nice.
But no, we have Samoan Tag Team Champions. That makes up... Shut up. No, it doesn't.
It's like that Batman Robin comic strip. Robin's the one offering the defense, and you're Batman giving the bitch laugh.
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. Bah!
Seriously, like, I feel like the WWE thinks that Samoans cancel black guys out.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised that they show a partiality to Samoans. I think it's like Samoans and Canadians dominate the scene because, I mean, their blood runs deep in the pro wrestling industry, the whole history of it. So.
Yeah. Oh, they're all related.
And pro wrestling wise, yeah, in terms of career success and everything, yeah, I mean, you definitely got that going on.
Sounds like something JBL would say. Oh, Michael, they're all related.
All divas don't like each other, Michael. Why's this news?
All right, well, now that we're done with our racy subject of the day, we can actually talk about Raw.